A new website devoted to giving expected mothers better information on the resources available to them both prenatal and postpartum has been up and running for about a week now. With more on the website and the reaction to it, here's moderator Reese Wetzel with this week's in-depth discussion.
Thank you, Rich. And today we will be talking about the new Life page launched by the state of Oklahoma for expecting mothers and mothers in Oklahoma. Joining us to do that, we have Julie Mercy, chair of the HELP Task Force and co-founder of The Cottage in Bartlesville, and Riley Benson-Farron, communications manager at the Infant Crisis Services. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, let's get right into it. Julie, tell us how the Life website came to be. What's the site's mission and who determined what was going to be included on it?
Sure, that's a great question. I appreciate that. So really, if we rewind a little bit, the HELP Task Force was brought together by Governor Stitt last fall, and he really started in the summer thinking about what moms needed in the state of Oklahoma. So when he launched that task force, I was asked to chair that, and it brought together a bunch of thought leaders from across the state, nonprofits, community experts, foundations, and then of course our government agencies. And as we sat across from each other at the table, we came together and really bounced ideas off of one another. And so my first question bringing us together was, what do you think? What's the current state? What do we have available and where do we want to go? And as we round table, we came up with some thoughts and ideas, and I said, okay, every one of these we're going to explore. And part of that was we knew we had great resources, but we didn't have one place where moms and fathers and families could go to access the resources that we have across our great state. And so we put that as one of our first initiatives to look at, and it was fairly easy. It was unanimous in saying, yes, we need a single place to go. Where is that going to be? And so we knew that South Dakota had a similar website launched, and it was very successful. The governor backed that from South Dakota, and it was one of our recommendations that we took forth to Governor Stitt last fall. And so that's really where it came from.
Wow, well, it's South Dakota. You know, that's a far away, but you know, if they have a good website, sometimes imitation is the best form of flattering, right? Yeah. So Riley, let's get into what the website does for, let's say, the Infant Crisis Services. What does it do to help promote these places that women can go in Oklahoma to seek help?
Yeah, so Infant Crisis Services is one of the resources that helps mothers and fathers and just families in general who might just need that little extra bit of assistance in diapering their babies and toddlers, feeding them, things like that. So websites like this really get those parents connected to us. We can exist and we can serve all day long, but if we're not reaching the people who need it most, what are we doing? So it's really important that we have websites that connect people to resources like us, and it's really important that, you know, our word is out there and parents aren't just sitting at home wondering how they're going to get their baby their next meal. They have kind of a plan of action, and they're able to connect with us and get in and get what they need, and hopefully make sure that their babies have really healthy futures. So
does the website help? How does it help get the information to people who may not know that these are available?
So I think that it's just a really great kind of hub to exist and say, like, if you are a mother, if you're a father, if you have a child and you need help raising them, this is where you go. I think a lot of people like to say that it takes a village to raise a child, and that's 100% true. And websites like this are kind of the first step in making that village and helping a parent see that I'm not alone in this parenthood journey. I have the opportunity to meet people who will help me raise my child. I have the opportunity to interact with services that are going to get my child what they need to be successful. And so whenever they can visit a website like the Life website and see that, you know, one, I'm not alone in struggling through this parenthood journey, but two, there are people there who want to support me and who want to empower me to continue this parenthood journey and continue raising healthy and happy children, then it's a great way to just get them plugged in.
Well, I want to speak to some of the critics might say that it's just a website. No more needs to be done. They expect more since the new abortion laws took effect in Oklahoma. What say you both to that response? Julie, we'll start with you.
So I think, you know, if you look at the state of Oklahoma, everyone has a cell phone, just about. And so we know that we have just about 100% coverage in the state of Oklahoma, except in the southeastern part. And also the state is looking at broadband coverage. And so they hope to have 95% of our state covered by 2025. Most have a cell phone, so they should have access to the website. Now, we've heard heard some of those criticisms, and we take those very seriously. And so if there's a criticism or some input to be given, we want to look at those. And we think that the services are there to help any mom who's facing an unplanned pregnancy or something that they need in terms of being a great parent or father or family. And so if we can direct them to those, we think we can overcome a lot of the circumstances that many of our women and families face in Oklahoma.
Riley?
Yeah, I think that, if you go on that website once and you connect with one service provider, a lot of service providers in the area have referral programs that will, you come here for point A, well, we have referrals that will get you to point B, C, D, E, F. Like, there are so many services that work together, and in order to, holistically bring up a child as happy and healthy as you can, you just have to get your foot in the door one time, and there are so many people in Oklahoma that are willing to kind of take the extra step and make sure that you get connected to the other people that you need.
And Julie, when you were building this website, did you speak with women and families across Oklahomans and get kind of just an insight on what was needed most, and how do you sort out the priorities of that?
Yeah, so we knew some of the priorities because we looked at those during the task force and what we looked at together. And then I have always sought input from some of our clients. I still get to serve them on Wednesdays, face to face. And so I asked them, and some of the first things that we looked at, I ran it by them just to make sure. And with any website, your end user is the most important. How are they going to access it? How are they clicking? How are they going to drill down to what they specifically need? And so they've taken that into strong consideration as they built the website, and I think it's going to show for itself as women navigate it across the state.
And you spoke to everyone having a phone or everyone having some sort of connection. What about those corners, though? You said the southeast corner. How do you get to those communities that might not even know that this is a website?
Now, a lot of our resources have mobile options, and we do like to go to the rural areas. We have a mobile pregnancy van that we take out when we do ultrasounds, and I know you guys have a mobile unit too. And so we're trying to recognize those, if you would, deserts, but they're very small anymore, and they've gotten smaller and smaller as technology has progressed. But we're still willing, most of the organizations across the state have access or availability to try to get those resources to women. So we're willing and equipped and ready to reach out to the pockets and the places that we know might still need us.
Well, and I think that we've found in those smaller towns with our mobile program, we have 2 baby mobiles that go across nearly a third of the state. And I think that we've found in some of those smaller areas, they're really close-knit communities. And so if one person has that access and has that cell phone and can see the Facebook posting or the website and can say, okay, this is coming to our area, they're really great about using their community connections to get the word out to people who may not be able to just open up the website, open up Facebook and see what's going on. They're really close-knit communities, and they really disperse information well with each other.
They do.
Yeah, well, I want to stay with you here. When the abortion laws were lifted or were put into effect in Oklahoma, did you see an increase in an overwhelming amount of people headed to the infant crisis services?
So it's hard to amount our increase in clients to just abortion rollbacks. We know that in the last year, we've also dealt with a nationwide formula shortage. We've dealt with record inflation. So there are so many reasons why people come to use our services. And at the end of the day, a lot of people are just having trouble making those ends meet. And especially if they find themselves pregnant, another mouth to feed is another mouth to feed, and it's no small cost. And then with inflation, we know that diaper costs have risen 20% over the last year. Food and formula costs have risen 11% over the last year. These are huge increases that when mom or dad looks at their monthly budget, they cannot decide not to buy diapers. They can't decide not to buy formula and food. And so they have to take that money from elsewhere. And so services like infant crisis services and, partner agencies that provide similar services are really able to just take stress off the parents' shoulders. A study done by the National Diaper Bank and Yale University found that diaper insecurity is often more stressful on new moms than food insecurity. And so that can lead to higher rates of maternal stress, maternal depression. And so as long as we have services here that are, kind of offsetting that stress and saying, it's okay, don't worry about where your next meal is coming from, we got you. It makes it a lot easier for them to say, okay, now I can focus on my family. I don't have to focus on just this monthly budget of numbers that seem to just increase day after day.
Yeah, and just to speak if you're a baby like my nephew, you use a lot of diapers. So,
Yes.
I mean, I swear he's going through them every day. It's I don't know how they can keep up. And so, you can see that diaper stress is a lot, and that's what I hear most from my sister is that, diapers are so expensive and they're never ending until one day, hopefully, they're potty trained.
Yes.
But Julie, let's stay with you here. The governor has spoke to adoption and improving the adoption process in Oklahoma. What is the HELP Task Force doing to help look at the adoption process and the adoption program in Oklahoma?
We did look at adoption very, very seriously. We heard it from across the table that adoption was one of the top priorities that we need to look at. Now, the task force looks specifically at private adoptions because we know our state agencies and the people who are in those agencies have a good grasp on adoptions that might take place through the state of Oklahoma. So when you circle in and narrow down to our private adoptions, that's where we think some work can still be done. If we're going to be the most pro-life state in the United States, we want to be the most pro-adoption and pro-family state in the United States. And so adoption is at the heart of our governor, it's at the heart of a lot of our people, it's at the heart of some of our women, and that's going to be important. So when we looked at adoption, how can we make that a common conversation? We hear a lot of times, oh, I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't want to give up my baby. If we can change that mentality about giving up your baby to, finding the best role and the best place and coming up with your own personal plan to place that child in another family, we think that that's important. So we wanted to change the conversation a little bit. And then we knew we had some things to look at legislatively. For instance, we know that adoptive parents can only give $1,000 to help with food, the legally, obligated expenses, and we wanted to raise that to $3,500, and so that was important. And then we also want some specific training for judges and for lawyers in town, so they can help foster that conversation where it's not just a legal conversation; it's just a normal conversation in life. Because adoption is a very viable option for many of our women. And at the cottage, we've done 10 private adoptions, and it's been very rewarding. It's been very successful, and it's given that woman the empowerment to place that plan in front of her adoptive family and say, this is what I want to do together as we bring this baby into the world.
Well, is there anything you would like to add to that?
No.
Okay. You speak to these women that need these resources, and maybe someone's looking to give their child up for adoption, but that is a hard decision. Is there mental health resources on this webpage that can kind of help walk people through some of these hard decisions that they have to make?
Absolutely. There are counseling and guidance that women can seek in terms of mental health, because we do know, as we've faced the last several years, that women have experienced more domestic violence when they were together in a home, with a partner that may not have been respectful and appreciated her as a woman and actually imposed either physical, emotional, or some type of abuse on that woman. We also know that depression and anxiety has risen in the last 4 years tremendously. And so the mental health of our women and all of Oklahomans has been a priority. And so yes, there are resources out there to look at those.
And Riley, I know you spoke to formula and diapers, but what else do you hear from new mothers who need help, things that they might want assistance with?
Kind of like I said earlier, a lot of women and a lot of mothers and parents just really want that lifeline, that person and that support group that is going to be there for them and that's going to remind them they are not alone in this parenthood journey. I think sometimes parenthood can feel isolating, especially if you're a new mom who is having your first baby and baby is crying all the time. Baby has to have their diaper changed all the time. It can be really isolating to see or to live in this experience and feel like no one else is going through this. So our services, what we like to do is we like to bring mom in, sit her with a volunteer, let her talk it out, say whatever she needs to say. We are here to support them 100% and help them become the best parents that they can be. And I think just that supportive piece is really important for a lot of these parents who just need to be reminded, you're not the first person to ever be a parent. You won't be the last person to ever be a parent. And you have people behind you making sure that your kid is going to have the best future possible.
All right, Julie, we're running out of time here, so we're going to close out with you.
Okay.
What's the future look like for the HELP Task Force? What is next step in this after this website's
Yeah,
been
we're
launched?
still in implementation phase, and that's exciting. We came out of the gate with the expansion of Sooner Care, and then we've seen the rollout of this in terms of marketing and having one place where women and families can go. And as we look ahead, there's still some work to do on adoption. There's still some work to do on the Pregnancy Resource Network, and there's still some work to do on some of the other recommendations we made. So it's a continuation of implementation, and I see that taking place over the next year and a half or so.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you for your time in joining this discussion. Julie Mercy and Riley Benson Farron, thank you for your perspective and insight.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much.